Hi guys, welcome to MotorBeam. We are in the mountains of Missouri to drive this, the 6th generation Mercedes C-Class. So the first generation C-Class, the W201, came out in 1982, and that time it was called the Baby Mercedes. Now with the 6th generation W206, Mercedes is calling this the Baby S. Now we're going to find out why exactly is this the Baby S. What is so S-classy about this? So totally there are 3 variants on offer right now, the C200, the C220D, and what we are driving today is the C300D. Now this comes with the AMG body kit. Now this is the fastest of all, and I'm going to get back to that a bit later. And actually this is the one I wanted to drive today. So the 6th generation C-Class has become longer, wider, the height has reduced a bit, and the ground clearance has gone up by as much as 7 mm. Now this car looks very sporty. This one specifically, the AMG line, gets a revised bumper, gets this honeycomb pattern on the grille, and this gets all digital lights as standard. Now if you see the bonnet, these 2 creases make it look very athletic and very sporty. So if you see the side profile, it looks so much like the S-Class, and no wonder they called it the Baby S. Now this C300D gets these very nice chunky alloy wheels. This sits on 18-inch wheels while the other cars get 17 inches. And if you see the body kit also looks quite good here. So from the rear profile, again if you see the tail lights blend so well into the boot, that gives a very S-Class vibe here. You get dual exhausts in this car and some fake stuff here over here, which actually looks quite good but is of no use. So let's talk about the boot. The boot space is about 455 liters. Now this is relatively less than its nearest rival, which is the 3 Series. Now if you see, the C-Class doesn't get a spare tire, it gets a puncture repair kit, but you know, Indian road conditions are so bad that you cannot actually do without a spare tire. So Mercedes has offered a space saver here, but unfortunately it sits right into the boot and it eats away a lot of space. Now if you see, there are hooks here, there's a net out there somewhere, I saw it over there, and you also get these buttons here in which if you want to carry some large stuff, you can just electronically tumble the rear seats so you can fit in more stuff on the boot. Now Mercedes has been calling the W206 the Baby S-Class, and when you get inside you actually know why, because if you see, the whole dashboard seems to be lifted straight off the S-Class. So this is basically the heart of the car. You know, you get everything here, right from the reversing camera, the AC temperature buttons, you get all the other features, navigation, phone, media, apps, comfort, settings, info. Now if you see, you have the other standard driving stuff, like you get the eco mode, the comfort mode, the sport mode. You can also calibrate it as per your liking in the individual mode. Another thing is, you get this fingerprint thing. Now with the finger, of course I have not registered it yet, but what you can do is you can save all your settings with just a fingerprint. So whenever you get into the car and there are multiple people driving the car, you just scan your fingerprint here and bam, all the settings go as per your liking. Now if you see in front of the driver, you have a 12.3 inch display, which is very intuitive. You have a lot of options to choose from. You can go to navigation, you can basically see all the data here. So you get a new steering wheel, and on this wheel you get a lot of these small, very feather touch buttons. The cabin feels quite premium. The build quality is definitely much better here. Lots of backlit illumination. You see in these AC vents, like when you really turn down the temperature, this becomes blue. When you turn it up, it becomes red. Also on the side, there's a lot of backlit illumination. Lots of storage spaces inside the cabin. Here you get 2 cup holders. You get a wireless charger, which is hidden quite inside. Lots of storage space here. You get USB Type-C charging ports. Also on the door, a lot of bottle holders. The glove box. So no dearth of storage spaces inside the cabin. The carbon fiber look here on the dash looks quite good. The seats, the brown and black combination is looking very premium. Now the seats offer good amount of support, especially the lateral support is quite good. And now if you see, the headroom has increased over the last generation. So me being 6 foot 2 inches, I'm actually quite comfortable here. Now previously all Mercedes cars had that push button adjustment. Now here you have all sensors. Okay, and even the sunroof you can just open with a flick, and you get dual sunroof so that there is ample light in the cabin. So the biggest change you see in the C-Class is on the rear seat. Now the rear seats were quite cramped earlier, and me being 6 foot plus found it very difficult to fit. But here it's much easier. Leg room has improved drastically. Even headroom is sufficient for me. Not great, but quite sufficient. Though Mercedes says they have improved the under thigh support, I find it quite lacking both here in the rear bench, also in the front seat. Now the cushioning is quite good. The back support is quite good. Shoulder room is quite decent. The only hitch here is, if you are sitting in the middle, there is a huge transmission hump here, which will make you quite uncomfortable. You get a central armrest. with a mobile phone holder here. Now, amongst other things, the Burmester 15 odd speaker audio system is quite good sound quality. Under the hood, you get 3 engine options, all 4-cylinder, all of them get a 48 volt mild hybrid tech. All of them are mated to the 9G-tronic transmission. The C200 produces 204 HP and 300 Newton meters from the 1.5 litre petrol engine, while the C220D produces 200 HP and 440 Newton meters of torque and is powered by the 2 litre oil burner. Now, both these cars, the C200 and 220D, reach 0 to 100 in just 7.3 seconds. Now, this car, the C300, I'm not really going to talk about the engines now. We're going to do that when we get behind the wheel, because that's the point where we'll actually enjoy this. So out of the entire C-Class lineup, what really caught my attention was the C300D. And this comes in the AMG line. Now let's talk about the numbers here. This 2 litre 4-cylinder engine produces 265 HP of power, 550 Newton meters of torque. Now, of course, you also get a 48 volt mild hybrid system, which they call the integrated starter generator. Yes, ISG, integrated starter generator. Now, this basically gives you a boost of 20 HP and an additional 200 Newton meters of torque. Now, obviously, there's no boost button like here per se, but it automatically, depending on the driving condition, gives you that for better and improved drivability. There's a very, very strong mid-range. The low end is pretty good, but once the car gets moving, it's so brisk and it really flattens out on the top end, but the performance is very, very brisk. The W206 is wider, longer, reduced in height, improved ground clearance, but in spite of that, Mercedes has managed to keep the coefficient of drag at just 0.24. Now, this is because what I hear is they've taken inspiration from the Formula 1 team, where they've really worked on the aerodynamics. So a lot of input has come from the Mercedes AMG Formula 1 team in the development of the C-Class. Now, mated to this engine is the Mercedes 9G-tronic transmission. Now, I'm driving in the twisties in Missouri here, and this transmission feels just fine. Like, I don't think there's anything to complain about here. So Mercedes has improved the fuel efficiency of the C300D by 15%, reduced emissions by 13%. The fuel efficiency of this car is around 20 kilometers per litre as per ARAI. Now, in practical driving conditions, you can expect anywhere around 14 to 15, which is quite good for a car which has such a punch in performance and at the same time delivers really good fuel efficiency. Now, if you talk about the C220D, which we are not driving today, that is one of the most fuel efficient cars in the Mercedes stable. It, I think, delivers around 23 kilometers per litre as per the ARAI rating. When you talk about the suspension, this car is very comfortable. Mercedes has actually done away with airmatic suspension. What you get here is something known as a passive dynamic suspension. Or exact details even I don't know, but definitely it's not the airmatic. It's a much improved suspension compared to the W205. So if you compare it to the previous generation C-Class, the W206 is much more comfortable. The ride is much more pliant. Even on these big bad potholes here, it feels very pillowed. And I was wondering if the ride has gone so much on the comfort side. Like, I didn't know what to expect when it comes to handling, and that is something which I really wanted to check out. So there's good news, the handling is quite good. It's actually quite a hoot to drive. The steering is so precise, it weighs up nicely. The turn-ins are so predictable, and it's just a pleasure to drive this around the twisties. But of course, there's so much traffic that you can't just, extract all the 550 Newton meters of torque in this area. But I'm just looking for a patch where I can just unleash all of that all in one go. So if I have to sum up the handling, it's more, the steering is precise, the balance is quite good, feels very planted at high speeds also. So a big thumbs up in terms of the dynamics department. But of course, yes, if you compare it to the segment, not in the same league as the 3 Series, but a huge improvement over the last generation car. So you really can't discount this car as a comfort-oriented sedan, because Mercedes has actually managed to find a perfect balance between ride and handling here. So the NVH levels are quite good. You can barely hear anything inside the cabin, except when you really rev the nuts out of this engine, you can hear it a bit audible inside. The brakes also bite really well. In fact, with so much power on hand, you need good brakes to, actually give you the confidence to push this around. And around the twisties, this car is actually quite good fun to drive. So one thing I skipped on mentioning is this car also gets active brake assist and active park assist. There are a lot of sensors all around which actually help you to get that in order. And check this out. There's a Mercedes written here in the original font. Looks quite neat. So after driving the C300 for the whole day, I can say I had a great time. Now this car feels beautifully crafted, suitably luxurious with all the tech and stuff borrowed from the S-Class. Finds a perfect balance between comfort and dynamics. Now if you see, the 3 Series is the most dynamically sorted car in this segment, but if you consider everything, including the practicality, I think the C-Class right now is the pick of the segment. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you like, share, comment, and tell me in the comment section below that if you had to buy a car in this segment, which one would you pick?